tutorial that uses no foundation and no concealer. It's something called the Demi Method. If you've never heard of it, stick around and watch. If you have, hang out with me, and I have some tips that I'm going to share with you, and 3 specific tips that I've not shared before, and I think it will be very helpful. So this is my palette, and this is what I'm going to be working in. And these 2 little tins are just little tins that Seint released. By the way, all the products I'm using besides brow and mascara, all the products I'm using are by Seint Beauty. I am an independent Seint Beauty artist. If you want any of these products, you can go to outthegobble.com and you can grab them and learn with me and look at all my tutorials. I use all of those products. If you haven't heard of Seint and you would like to have a free consult about how to use this concept that I'm teaching, you can go to yes.altheamatchme.com and I can create for you graphics and videos, and you would have one-on-one with me to learn this concept. So I'm going to be working with these and do a quick little makeup and let you hang out with me. All right, I'm going to use this Plush Prep. This is brand new, been released. It's beautiful with foundation. It's beautiful without foundation. It's beautiful if you're not wearing any makeup. It is going to enhance your skincare. It has all beautiful things in it: hyaluronic acid, glycerin, botanical extracts, and caffeine. So this is going to wake up the skin. I've already done my skincare and have on serums and the moisturizers. I share a lot about my skincare routine. It's by Riman. It's a Korean skincare line. I can also share that with you. Just drop it in the comments, that you're interested in the skincare. I don't have a fancy word that you can just type in or any of that stuff. You just comment and I'll answer back. This is Plush Prep, so it's like a primer. I'm not a fan of goopy primers, sticky primers. It's just another layer of product. But this is going to hydrate. It's thin, so it's not going to layer on the skin, but it's going to prep it and make your makeup last all day. Or if you're not wearing any makeup, it's beautiful just by itself, which I do all the time. Just takes a few. You can move it around a little bit. Just use like 2 fingers so you don't use all the product on your fingers. But just anywhere you want it. I mean, it feels so good, especially because it's got caffeine. Put it right there underneath the eyes. Make sure it's there. And you just kind of let that dry, and when it dries, I'm going to do my brows. So please ask me any questions about any of the stuff that I'm doing here. This is L'Oreal. I'm really liking this brow pencil. I've used this so many different ways. This is the Brow Stylist Shape and Feel. I'm a little late getting makeup on today. I have been cleaning 2 short-term rentals, if you've been here with me, or I don't know if I even shared it. But since I've retired from teaching, I have been, I've got a lot of time on my hands. So I've picked up some beautiful homes and been cleaning those. And it's so enjoyable. I love it. I never thought it would be, but it is extremely satisfying and gratifying because you get the job done and you can see all of your efforts all completed. Like in one day, you're done. It's very satisfying. Plus the homes are absolutely beautiful, so that also makes it enjoyable. So see, I love this pencil. It's got enough product in it that it sticks to the hairs, and I have some gray hair in there, and really love how it just glides on. I'm going to try a different color too. This one's a little cool, which is fun. It's not as warm as my hair, is just a little bit on the cooler side, but I want to try a different color. Plus, I'm trying to decide with my hair, because I'm a natural redhead, and the product that goes on to color, you know, red doesn't stay long, but it helps lift what's in the base of my hair, what's there, because as you age as a redhead, you get that brown out, meaning you lose the vibrancy of the red as you age. And the other beautiful thing is you get some gray coming in. So all of my gray is right here. It almost makes me look bald right there because it's gray. It's all right here and a little right in here and one spot underneath there. And I'm trying to decide if, I think we're going to do some ways for it to come on in and fade in and look more like highlights, and that way as I gray more, it will naturally just be growing in without like one big grow out. I think that's what I'm going to do because the gray just starts coming in so quickly, and that means every 4 weeks, and that's a lot. It's a lot to do every 4 weeks. It really is. I'm not good at making an appointment. By the way, I need to do that. Okay. Now this has had time to dry, and it feels really good, and it's not sticky. And like I said, you can go buy itself with no makeup, and it's just going to enhance your skincare, and it makes your skin feel really, really good. All right, the first tip that I want to share with you is try this. If you do not have a lot of coloring in, and I've not done this live yet, so let's cross our fingers, it works really good. Get my hair out of the way. If you do not have a lot of color in your cheeks and not a lot of redness, or even if you do have redness, it's totally okay, but it's never just where you exactly want it, and sometimes it's kind of patchy, and my skin is very reactive. When I touch it, it's going to turn red, but you can see this has a tendency to get a little red when touched, and a little spot here, but there's areas where it's missing color, especially right there and there. See, it's just kind of, and then it makes this look really hollow because this is so light. So try this first. Even if you're going to do foundation or you're not going to do foundation, try doing your cheek color first, okay? And I have two. I'm going to use this for lips today, and this, well, I'm actually going to use both for lips, but this is called Ruby. It's just a little tin that Seint released out as neat little, I think they were like $10, and I love it because I like the little tins, a lot more space, and the product is so pigmented, it lasts you forever. I think I've had this 3 years, so it definitely will last a long time. So this is Ruby, and you can see it's very vibrant color, and using the wash brush, and you're lightly going to tap in it. So take a very vibrant pigmented color and start with your cheek color first before you do anything else, and add a little color and life. And this works really well if you're on the mature side and you're lacking color. So start with your cheek color first. And do you see how that just gave me some life all of a sudden? Just a little bit. And see, my brush is pretty much clean, and I'm only getting product in the ends of the bristles, and I'm only letting the ends of the bristles touch the face. Very light hand. And that is giving me some color. I'm going to do the same thing up here. So just start with your cheek color first. See, I'm going to stay away from that excess rest. And if I do get a little excess over something that's already red, I can either tap it away with my finger, or we can use a corrector to go over it. It's best to tap it away though. And you're just lightly tapping the tin. And where I'm kind of dull lacking color or flush, just where I want to look where I'm a little flushed. And each side of your face might be different. And everybody, you don't, I want to go down in here, just a little flushing down there. I'm even going to take a little, see how I have those white patches on my nose? Take a little bit of my cheek color and add a little bit of color there. So start with your cheek color first. That's the first tip. So then if you're going to wear foundation, then you're going to either just do your foundation down in here and right here just underneath the eyes and maybe in smaller places here. So you're using less foundation and less product, so it's going to last even longer and it's not going to crease. And this works great if you have very textured skin. I'm finding that the more people that, I don't know, I think it's funny, I share makeup here, but I can tell you that from work, when I was teaching ladies that I see all the time in my daily life, they default to not wearing makeup. And it appears that everybody's wearing makeup every day, and they're not. So I find by conversations that we are only wearing makeup that we think we have to because it designates that we got ready. And we always end up doing it the same way we've always done instead of trying something different. And so it's just interesting to me, and I guess that's the reason why it inspires me to teach makeup very minimally and what are ways to use just color to enhance your skin without covering it up. So it really inspires me to find ways that makes it super easy for ladies who really don't want to wear makeup every day, but want to find ways to enhance their skin and justify getting ready like I am today. All right, so that just automatically gave me some color, it gave me some glow, and that's pretty simple. Now, is it smooth? Do I have like the little red patch and all that? Yes, but we'll deal with that as we go. So now I'm going to take the blur brush, a little dome brush, and I want to use a contour color, and I'm going to fill in these light areas that I have very quickly. I'm using a color called Stone. It's a very red brown, and I'm again using the ends of the bristles. And I find especially right here in the under eyes, see how this is dark and this is light next to it? It makes this even more dark. So I'm going to balance that first, and I really have like white icy under eyes right here with some hollowness and that kind of thing, which is amplified by the white iciness. So instead of using like a concealer, we're going to use this brown color. It's a red brown. And turning your head down and looking down into your mirror, you really see those white patches. Please let me know if the sound is okay. My last live, I did not know the sound was making a strange noise, and so it became very difficult to listen to at one point. I was unaware. So do you see how just adding a little bit of color underneath the eyes, look at the difference, okay? I'm going to do the same thing over here. Now there is a little dark in there, but we'll subtract that at the end. I'm just doing a nice little balance right in there. I'm doing eyeshadow, but I forgot to put it in my palette, so we'll just use the contour for eyeshadow right now. Actually, I've got black cherry. I'm going to do something with black cherry. I may have to make some funny faces doing this concept of adding color in the light areas. And it may seem like I'm tapping my palette a lot, but I'm applying such little product on the brush. So I find if we go very light, adding product to the brush, you don't end up seeing the product on the skin as much. It just looks as if I'm coloring the skin. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing on my nose. Might need a smaller brush. I have like I'm sure it's a scar from sun damage over the years of being stupid and getting, especially being fair skin and getting too much sun on my face. It's the skin is thin on the nose, and so I'm sure that's scarring from too much sun. White patches are just as much from sun damage than brown patches and sun spots. Do you see how that just looks so much more, I don't know, fresh? And there is no texture underneath the eyes, and you really don't see the makeup. So I'm going to do that same thing throughout, just very, very lightly. This part of my mouth, I'm going to switch, since it's a bigger area. I do have a little bit of melasma, or not really melasma, it's age spots, sunspots next to the lip, so I'm going to stay away from that. I'm going to use the bigger end. So you always think about using the size of the brush to the area that you're wanting to apply the color. So do you see how this size, this is a bigger area that I'm adding color, so the brush is a little bigger. I think it's a lot easier. I'm going to go on the other, see I have that dark right there? I'm just going to go to the other side of it. And do you see how it softens and rounds out that sharpness of that crease there? Same thing with the chin, the light patch that goes right up through there. Don't worry if you can't see the light patches or what I'm talking about, the light areas, because if you're just experimenting with this, then how I would say is in between areas of dark, or if you have something that's very dark, look right beside it, there's going to be something light. Same thing here. And each side of the face is different. Alright, I'm going to do this part of my forehead. See that little light area there? You really shouldn't stress over like being exact with it, and your eyes will quickly start finding them, and you never want to zoom in and get too close and pinpoint it, because you'll just become stressed over it. Just be a little more loosey-goosey and have fun with it, and strive to use very, very little. Okay, I'm going to take just a little bit down underneath here because it's always very light. Not going to go on the jawline. There's already a shadow there. I'm just going to go down right through here. See, look here. See that? I'm going to add a little bit right there. And that little bit of ruby, that little bit of cheek color. So try that out. That cheek color been added first. That made it so much easier to add color in the light areas. So now I'm going to do my eyes, and I'm going to use that exact same brush. And no, I'm going to do black cherry. Let's do something a little different. I'm going to take an end like this brush. This is the spot brush. I'm going to use this end, and I'm going to take a little bit of the black cherry. It's a gloss, so I don't want to put it all over the eyes because it is a gloss, and I do have crinkly eyelids. But see where that's really, really light? I'm just going to add a little bit of black cherry to that lighter area. I could have used the ruby. That's pretty. I mean, just a hint. It's just just the ends of the bristles barely touching the product. Same thing. Do you see this right here, which makes it protrude forward, makes this even more hollow. So I don't mind this shadow, but this is kind of wide. But adding a little bit of color in there. See how it's opening up that pocket, and then put it right here. I mean, there's so little on the brush. It's crazy. Here, I'm going to use the small end. And I'm going to take it right, not at the lash line, just slightly below. And then in here, right across on the lash line. And I'm not going to make a line. It's not going to stay like a line because this is like a gloss. So, but then I'm going to blur it upwards with my brush. And it gives a nice, pretty, already have a little bit of veinage there. Which I don't mind. I know there's some ladies that I've color matched in person, and they have this beautiful red violet right at their lash line, like God-given eyeshadow. And this is kind of the idea. Hey Jack, hey Jacqueline. Using black cherry. Just a little bit of black cherry, and it is a gloss, so you just use it very, very little. Alright. Really, really like that. And I'm going to take just a little bit of that black cherry right in here. Hi there. I've been cleaning all day. So Mike and I are going to go get something to eat. And yeah, I still have black cherry, and all I'm doing is some of these little light icy patches, just brushing a little bit of black cherry on it. Why not? Isn't that crazy that it would do that? And even those little light patches, that I struggle with that one right there on my nose. Makes my nose look, wonky. Isn't that crazy? All right, now let's use this black cherry. And around my lips, I have like lighter areas, and then I have darker areas. I'm just going to use a little black cherry just to hit those light patches. And if you don't have that struggle, just take a little bit of black cherry and tap it on with your fingers too. I've done that as well. So my first tip, Jacqueline, that we did is before you do anything, add your cheek color first. And that's what I did. I used Ruby. These are just the little tins that Seint had one time. I love them. I hope they do that again. And I applied Ruby first. Anywhere I wanted a flush before I did anything else, and then I added color with Stone. So see those little light areas? That's all I'm doing, is adding a little black cherry. As my good friend Olivia says, that juicy lip. So I'm just adding. And I'm going going to take a little bit of ruby with my finger and right in the center. Kind of open up the mouth just a little and go inside. Just a little. Okay, I'm liking that. Now, last thing we're going to do is subtract any distractions or darker areas that are distracting. And so everybody's going to say the same thing. We're going to say the under eyes. So this is right in here on me. Now I don't want to make a line because it's really not the whole thing. And if you struggle with where the dark is, try this. Pull on the skin, and when I do that, when I pull it away, it turns out that there's some dark freckles within that area. So I'm just going to target those dark freckles, and then the line will be diffused. Okay. Now that line is from hollowness. I'm not going to get rid of it. That is, I've always had it since I was a kid. This is the shape of my face. Does it get more pronounced as I age? Yes, because of loss of collagen and all of those things. This one's even more pronounced. It gets more pronounced all the time. Yay. But a little bit of color can help diffuse and soften it a little bit, and that's what we want to do. I'm actually going to use red one. I have all these colors, and I actually don't stress over what colors, you know. If you just have these basic ones, this is 01, 05, everybody, or 07, one to the other. 01, Y01, 03, and red one. These are correctors, okay? And just having them in your palette, and you'll quickly learn when is the best ones to use when. I'm going to use this one. I could also use 01. But anything red, like this pink, is going to subtract the most of anything. So you got to be careful with it. It's going to end up subtracting so much pigment color because it's the opposite. It's a red one, so it's a low saturation of red. So it's going to subtract a whole lot of green, which is skin tone pigment. Okay, so you've got to be careful not to erase all of it. We just want to balance. Okay, so I'm going to just dot. So you zoom in, see all the glory. I'm just going to dot right over that little dark freckle that's in there, and if you get too much, just tap it. Alright, and do you see this right here? So this light area is really pronounced. I've already added a little bit of color in it, but this is actual pigmentation. So it makes those bunny lines really pronounced. And do you see how I just add a little bit of red one over that muddy brown color? And it helps soften that a little bit. I'm not looking to change shape. I physically cannot change the anatomy there, but I can help with the color that's next to it. Now, do you see how that looks more pink right underneath it? Well, that is, pink is red and red is violet. So anything that looks reddish or pink, just say it's purple, and you use this yellow one. Clean it off with a towel so you keep your colors true. And I'm just going to dot. So do you see how my brush is super tiny? It keeps me behaved. Keeps me from swapping color all in one big area. See how that's like a little red spot? It used to be a brown spot, but from skincare, this used to be, I've got some images I'm going to be sharing because I went back and looked about 4 or 5 years ago, and I was shocked how much pigmentation and sunspots that I had here. So this one's, well, there was a really dark one, and I think this is the last bit of it, and it tends to be a little bit violet. I can't wait to share those. Now, do you see how that's softer? I didn't get rid of that shadow because that shows the shape of my cheek. It gives me some structure here that actually shows like the apple is moving up. So it lifts it a little bit, and it also gives me a little bit of character around the eyes. I don't want that white and all one color here because it makes you look swollen and puffy. This actually gives me structure and shows my cheek more. Okay, now I'm going to do, this one is a little more trickier. So do you see this is a tendon that comes down in there? So what it is this is pigmentation. When you stretch it out, you'll see that this is freckling and freckling. So I'm going to use this red one. And I'm just going to dot it. See, look, you see the product? I got too much, but I ain't going to sweat it. There's another one. And here. I got too much product. It's like I'm pixelating, okay? And you see I got too much? I'm just barely going to go up and down and pull that off. I don't want to rub it in, okay? So these, see, it's already softer. And right in there, I've tried a million things. I'm probably exaggerating, not a million, but for this side underneath here to make this not so pronounced. And if it takes me a little bit of time using this corrector to make it softer and to make it not as pronounced, I'm going to take that little bit of time to do it. Now, do you see how this is on this side of it? This right in here, there's just a couple of freckles, but they're very red. Or red. See, when I stretch out, you can see it. Let's make a funny face, okay? Make those funny faces. And do you see how it's already softer? All right. Do you see how this comes down right here? That's a little bit of, and that's what I find very common on a lot of ladies. This comes down too far, and that's typically a little bit of sun damage. So it's like freckling. It's very dull, and this is very common right where the sun hits. So I use a little bit of red one. Okay, now that is a whole lot better. Okay, so now my third tip that I'm going to share, that I shared, the first one was add cheek color first. Did I share the other one? Did I share 3? Oh no, this is number 2. Number 2. All right, I got number 3 I'm going to share with you. This is number 2. So if you have a lot of pores on your nose and some that are pretty show out a little bit, take a brush like this, clean it off, and I want you to always grab 01. If you're a very dark skin tone, if you're very dark skin tone, you're going to get Y01. If you're more medium to fair, we're going to use 01. And you just lightly get a little bit of product, okay? And we're going to get really close, okay? And you'll see there's a pore. And I'm just taking a little 01 and touching right on top of those pores. I'm going to look in the mirror because the phone doesn't. Now look, if you just, hey mama, if you cram it into a big open pore, okay, give it a second, and then it's not going to stay in there, okay? We're not filling these in. Product's going to warm up and shift. But all you're doing is touching some of these large pores that show, and you let it sit for just a second. And yes, you want to pinpoint it. You just don't want to put it all over your nose, because I've tried it, and this is the best way to diffuse the look. Now, while those are sitting there, I'm taking a little bit of 01 and these broken capillaries, and tapping them on those broken capillaries. So do you see how it looks like white patches? So that's a very open pore, and you see how it's going to come out. It's not going to stay. All right, I planned on that. So then you just take your finger and go up and down, tapping away. You may have to use a little brush to get the excess if it's a very open pore. And this will diffuse the look of the pores, and it works and it lasts all day. Do you see that? All right, that's tip number 2. 01 for the large pores on your nose, okay? I'm going to take this little shadowed vein right here. I'm going to do 03 just because it's a medium saturation and I don't want to erase all the color. I just want to take out the depth of the color, and that's 03. And I'm still using 03, and I'm just going to very quickly some of these darker distractions. Same thing over here. Just a couple of little darker ones. I'm not going to sit and not completely erase everything. I just want to balance the mosaic of color so it looks like my skin, which has multiple colors. Here's a very red rosy spot. I actually need to have someone look at that. Hello. All right, in my cheeks, those little hot red spots, which are common, anything red, you know it's purple, and I'm just using a little of this color, Y01. See how I'm using the tiny brush and I just touch anything that's kind of red. Since it's in my cheeks, I don't want to erase all that color. I am just touching and going. And there's always this little red patch right there. And there's a little healing bump right there. But you see, I don't stress over zeroing out every little small thing. Just want a nice little balance. Okay. I think I've done, oh no, one more thing. God, I can't stop. One more. Right here on my lips, there's some freckling that really amplifies the lines, and we can't have that. And I'm going to let's use 03. And you might have to stretch out your lip a little bit. But just like the pores on your nose, you don't want to put them in a crease. But inside of a crease, if it's very dark, if you stretch it out and you see a freckle in there or an age spot, most likely that's why the wrinkle shows up more. And I always have, see this freckle? I've always had a dark spot right there, dark there, and a dark there. So now my lips look more even, Steven. Okay, and in my chin, a little 03, and those little shadowed areas. Right here on my lip. And right here on my chin, where it's kind of red, I'm using a little Y01 to target those little hot spots. Okay, I think I'm done. Now, the last thing we're going to do, tip number 3, and if you've been here with me a while, I've never used a powder. I used to wear powdered makeup many years ago, and I even experimented with it a few months ago, and I still don't like it. I still don't. I'm just not a fan. It's just flakes of product on the skin, and it's just not for me. I just don't like it. But And I've never used a setting powder with this, although you can. And I know I don't want you to feel like, well, I'm oily, I'm going to have a powder, I can't do this. It's not so. You absolutely can. But now we have one that I will use. And I love it. And this also works very nicely on your nose as well. So take either a fluffy brush from the shape brush or the smaller end, it doesn't matter. And we have a new product called the Feather Blotting Dust, and the reason why it's called that is because when you touch it, it honestly feels just like a feather. It is amazing. I love it. So just take you a little bit of blotting dust, and it has no color in it, so it's not going to disrupt, and I'm just barely tapping, it's not going to disrupt the color or change the color of the correctors. But if you're more oily and you don't want to get rid of all the shine, you just want to diffuse it a little, this is going to be divine for if you, let's say you're not wearing any makeup and you just want to take a little bit of the shine and diffuse some of the pores, that kind of thing. You can do this without makeup. You can do this with this concept that I'm doing with the Demi, and you can also use this over foundation. It's not, I don't know how to describe it. I've never felt anything like it, but it's super light and feathery, but it's just enough right in here if you have wherever you get oily, without adding color and without subtracting color. It's just going to blot out that little bit of oil or shine. And it's a great way to diffuse the look of pores on your nose. So good, I love it. All right, that's it. So 3 tips I shared with you. The first one was add cheek color first, and that's what I did. If you missed it, what is that? This right here, this is feather blotting dust. I don't know how to even describe it. It's a setting powder, but I see it more than a setting powder. It honestly feels like a feather, but if you don't want to wear any makeup, but you want to get rid of the shine, you can put some of this on. If you're doing it like I'm doing, where I don't wear any foundation, I'm only using these. That I typically have never used a powder with it because it has the tendency to change the color of the correctors, and it makes like this yellow show up very yellow on the skin. So I've never used a powder. This has no color in it, so I can use it with this concept, and it's going to help blur out the pores on the nose and takes away just a little bit of that shine without erasing that healthy glow and not look like powder. But you can also use this on the foundation as well. It is so good. It's called Feather Blotting Dust. Love it. You can get this at outtheagobble.com. Love it, love it, love it. And I've not used powder in years, but I will be using that. It's now in my palette. I love it. All right, guys, I'm going to put my mascara on off camera. I'll jump off, and I'll share in my stories what's a good blush shade for olive skin. I personally, when it comes to blush colors, if you can never go wrong with something very vibrant and very pigmented. So something like this. This is called Ruby. This is Black Cherry. I know it doesn't look like it looks black, but it's like a very red violet saturated color. But these guys are very saturated. So something super saturated in color and very pigmented for olive skin, or really any tone of skin, because you're using so little. Anything that mimics flush and the flushing of skin. When you get into the cheek colors that are very muted and they're neutralized out and have a white base to them, typically that's where you end up pulling off more ashy, or it makes you look washed out. That's the reason why it's foolproof, if you can get a cheek color, anything that's very pigmented, and think of flushing. I have this on my cheeks and it doesn't look that bold, but it's just enough to give me a nice little flush. I even have this color on my eyes just to give me a little bit of warmth and flushing in the areas where I don't look dead. Does that help? Does that help? So if you would like to get any kind of consultation from me where I show you this concept that I've just done and need help with placement, you get graphics and video clips from me showing you how to do it. If you want to grab some of these colors, you can go to altheagobble.com and come and join with me and hang out with me and play along. Green olive. Well, I would definitely go green olive, add something with violet and red in it, like these two colors, because your red is going to subtract some of that olive in your skin and drop in some color, and that gives you nice flush. And the red violet, anything with red violet, the red is going to neutralize some of that in your cheeks. And then drop in this beautiful violet cheek color at the same time. But choosing something very pigmented, if you can get something that has no white base to it, these guys don't have a white base. White base would be something like this. Yeah, very good. If you get something with not a white base, it makes it a lot easier to use, and it's more versatile. You can use on your lips, your eyes, your cheeks. You can put it anywhere. I even put cheek color up in here to my forehead just to mimic blood flow. All right, I'm going to add mascara, and I will share my before and after in the stories. If you have any questions, if you're watching this later, ask them in the comments. Glad to help. If you have any questions about my skincare, any of the products I use, all the things, let's ask away. I also use this Plush Prep. This is a really good primer. It's really, really good. Love it. Or just wear it by itself. It's going to enhance your skincare. It's thin, it's beautiful, and it does help making the makeup last all day. All right, guys, thanks for joining in. I hope you guys have a great day.